We're live. Hey, you guys. Welcome to another fabulous episode of the Killer Author Club. Tonight, we're so excited to welcome the one and only Lisa Unger to the clubhouse. We'll be talking all about her newest thriller, Close Your Eyes and Count to 10. So grab your cocktail and your list of questions for Killer Lisa, and we will see you on the flip side.
Welcome to the Killer Author Club. 3 best-selling authors talking about killing, of the fictional kind, with the best thriller and suspense authors in the business. Killer conversations, killer cocktails, and killer guests with your hosts, Kimberly Bell, Heather Gutenkopf, and Kara Ruda. This is the Killer Author Club.
Bam. Okay. Hello to our new members, as well as the Killer Author Club originals. Whether you're with us live, catching the replay, or listening to the podcast, we're so glad you're here. I'm Killer Kara Ruda.
I'm Killer Kimberly Bell.
And I'm Killer Heather Gutenkopf.
And tonight we have Killer Lisa Unger here with us to answer your burning questions about Close Your Eyes and Count to 10. We have tons to talk about, along with all the usual killer fun. Speaking of fun, how about some in your inbox? The Killers have a newsletter chock full of killer bookish news, including the details of the killer authors on tour, our first ever tour with the 3 of us together. We're coming live and in person to the Sunshine State this March. Sign up at thekillerauthorclub.com so you're the very first to know all the details. Also, if you can't get enough of our live show, check out the Killer Postmortem, otherwise known as our after show, which is exclusive to our Killer podcast. Tonight's show will be available on your favorite podcasting app starting this Friday. Links to download are on, guess where, killerauthorclub.com. Kimberly, will you please introduce our special guest?
I would love to. Lisa Unger is a New York Times and internationally best-selling author. Her books are published in 32 languages with millions of copies sold worldwide. In 2019, she received 2 Edgar Award nominations, an honor held by only a few writers, including Agatha Christie. Her work has been named on best book lists from Today, People, GMA, EW, Amazon, IndieBound, and many others. She's written for the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, NPR, Travel and Leisure. She lives in Florida with her family. Congrats, Lisa, and welcome to the Killer Author Club.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's so great to be here with you guys.
We are so excited to talk to you tonight. We have so many questions about Close Your Eyes and Count to 10. But could you start with giving us a little quick elevator pitch for the book?
Yeah, so I'll hold it up because I'm a well-behaved author. I always have a copy of your book, right? So this is about an extreme game of a hide and seek set in an abandoned hotel on a remote island in the Atlantic. And single mom Adele leaves her kids for the first time with the hope of winning the $1 million prize. She goes to the island thinking that, it's just kind of one of these, in my book, it's called We Watch. It's like kind of a YouTube type thing, just kind of like a We Watch scam, like a pretend kind of hide and seek thing. But as the storm blows in and the extreme team who runs the game starts to unravel, the stakes become not $1 million, but whether or not you're going to make it out alive. And that is the setup for Close Your Eyes and Count to 10. Yeah.
Well, we loved it, and we have lots of questions. Readers, get chatty and start dropping your questions in the comments, and we will scour them to ask Killer Lisa. But first, let's talk about this episode's special drink.
Yes, so we killers, we love our cocktails and mocktails and our tasty drinks. So every episode we ask our killer guests to come equipped with their favorite. So Killer Lisa has chosen the Thriller.
Oh, the Thriller.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Lisa,
which actually was so funny because
I'm sorry.
I think.
Are you there?
I'm sorry. I'm like it's stuttering a little. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. It keeps happening. It's stuttering a bit.
So tell us about your killer cocktail. Why did you choose it?
Uh-oh.
So I think we're having
Sorry,
some
guys. I
technical
can't.
That's okay. I think we're having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, a little bit. I can hear everybody now, so that's good.
But
Sorry.
Okay.
that's okay. Can you tell us about the killer cocktail that you chose?
Yeah, it's called the Thriller, and it's up on your screen, and it's spiced rum, and it's Kahlua, simple syrup, chocolate bitters, and if you're spicy, a dash of hot sauce. And it was when we were staying at this wonderful hotel on San Miguel in the Azores. The bartender there, who happened to know I was a writer, he created this drink for us while we were there on our stay, and it was absolutely amazing. And of course, it's always great if you can do the smoker and like the smoke comes off of it, and it's very atmospheric and exciting drink.
Oh, it looks so good. And I think
Looks
it's amazing
delicious.
that I want a bartender to make me a drink. But
No kidding.
yeah, we'll be
Right?
excited to try that one out. So cheers to you, Lisa, and your brand new book.
Cheers.
So excited for you.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mm.
Okay, guys, the Killer started the Killer Author Club 2 years ago so that readers like you can interact with some of the best suspense and thriller authors in the business, like Lisa. Our winter and spring lineup includes superstars like Amy Tantera, Peter Swanson, Nikki French, Heather Graham, and so many more. For dates, times, past episodes, etc., search to killerauthorclub.com. Tonight, we're here to talk about Close Your Eyes and Count to 10. Kirkus Star Review says, Unger plunges the readers right into a sense of dread, then skillfully ratchets up the physical terrors of the challenge while revealing one disturbing secret after another. The perils of the real and virtual worlds collide effectively in this relentlessly paced thriller. Not bad. I love it. Twisty, riveting, and emotionally intense. You will not close your eyes once you start reading this book. And that's Kathy Reich's New York Times bestselling author of Fire and Bones. So, Lisa, obviously you're a prolific killer of great finesse. And now we need to know your answer to the killer question, why do you kill?
Yeah, it's funny because I have always had a really just dark and twisted imagination, and I always kind of think about like myself as I'm like a lifelong writer. I've been writing since I was a kid, and I've always just sort of my tastes have always just sort of gone to the dark side. So like I don't really feel like I chose necessarily to kill or I chose to write thrillers. I feel like it just kind of chose me. Like that was always like sort of where my imagination went. And so, I always say about being a writer that it's kind of like a congenital condition. It's like hopefully you figure out what's wrong with you early on. Otherwise, maybe you wind up institutionalized rather than published. So, I just do all my killing on the page.
Oh my gosh.
And it keeps me from killing people in the building. So I think that's great, actually.
That's really great. Actually, you're doing a service to society. You're a natural born killer with a different path. There you go.
There you go.
I like it.
Yeah, I just channel my demons into a healthy, safe place, and everybody around me remains, intact.
Alive, breathing.
That's good. That's good. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Exactly.
I have like a huge question. Like, is this a real island? Have you been to this island? Does anybody go to this island? Can you tell us about the setting?
Yes, it is. I will. So there is, usually like my inspiration for things is a little bit more nebulous. Like it might be it might be a news story, or it could even be like, a line of poetry, or in one case it was a piece of junk mail. But in this case, my family and I went to the Azores, which is an archipelago in the Atlantic. It's like it's owned by Portugal, and it's like about 1,500 kilometers from Europe and about 2,500 kilometers from the US. And so it's like, really in the middle of nowhere. And so we went there, and we were, Jeff and Ocean and I were about to hike the rim of a volcanic lake. And, because of the way the islands are, like these big storms just blow up out of nowhere. The sky can be like completely blue, and it was. And then the next minute there was just this gigantic storm. We got completely rained out of our hike. And so we had to rush back to our car. And so we're like, okay, well, we're just going to head back to our hotel. And on our way back, we took a different route than we took to get there. And we came across this abandoned structure in the middle of this island. And it was this gigantic, like just black concrete, like hotel that had been built in the 80s. We would learn later, went bankrupt within 5 years, and then just had sat rotting for, all of these decades. And it was, we kind of came upon it. I was like, oh my God, what is that? And you could kind of see how like trees were coming up through the concrete, and like foliage was like dripping down from balconies. And I was like, and there were these big signs that was like, na entra and peligro, which I think in any language is clear to everyone to just
turn around and go back.
Don't come here. Go back, but not me. I was like, not me, right? They don't mean me. I'm gonna go and check that out. So I have my daughter is, she's the daughter of a thriller writer, so she's used to kind of like semi-safe, excursions. And so all three of us went in, and it was just the most incredible place. It was like covered with the graffiti, there are these empty elevator shafts, the wind is just howling through all these open spaces. It's been completely looted. I was like, oh my God, of course I'm going to write about this place. And that was really the kind of big sort of seed for it. But San Miguel in the Azores is not Falco Island. This is kind of like my my fictionalized version of San Miguel, which is an absolutely beautiful place. And the Azores are like idyllic and gorgeous and not scary at all, of course.
Yeah. I think I remember when you were writing the book, maybe, did you have some pictures like that you posted of?
I do.
Yeah, you had some great
I have
photos
all this footage.
Very creepy place. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's gonna be good.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah. And the folks at Park Row took some of those photos and used it to make a reel, which we've been kind of sharing around. And so all the footage that you see out there for promo is my actual footage from our visit there.
I love it. Is that on your Facebook or Instagram?
Yeah, you can find it on Instagram, and I'm going to be posting a lot of those images over the next couple of weeks, of course, because they're super fun, and the videos are really fun and funny too.
Yeah, love it.
So the setting started. Oops, sorry. So did that start the whole idea for the story? Like, how did you come up with hide and seek at that place? Like this extreme game.
Yeah, so I always have like multiple obsessions going on, right? Like, so I'm always obsessed with ruin, of course, like anything that's broken and falling apart is always very beautiful to me. And I'm always obsessed with nature. I love, the idea that, if it comes down to a contest between, man versus nature, a person versus nature, a woman versus nature, it's like, you're the automatic loser, right? Once nature comes in, you don't win, right? Like, so I always love that idea that like, we have all this folly of our existence, and nature kind of stands by, and they're like, it's like just kind of an observer of our folly, like impervious and, evolving, even though we maybe are not evolving or we need to be evolving more. And then I was also kind of very interested in this idea of like the YouTube celebrity. In my book, I talk about We Watch, which is like kind of my, my fictionalized version of YouTube, because like I don't want to have to follow anybody else's rules. So I tend to like make up my own stuff. So, but I was interested in this idea of, these kind of larger than life online celebrities and these types of stunts that they put out there, and how they have millions and millions and millions of followers. And what is it to be that person? Like, what is it to be a person who is like We Watch famous, and who has millions of followers, and they all kind of exist in this other universe of gaming and online stuff. And like, how does that intersect with the real world? Because I'm always very interested in technology, but only insofar as how it rewrites the way we relate to each other. So that was the other big piece of it. And then, of course, I have a young daughter, and one of the things that I used to watch with her online were these games of hide and seek, these extreme haunted house like hide and seek things, and they always just seem so fake, right? Like I watch them, my daughter be like, oh my God. I'm like, come on, it's staged. It's all staged, right? Because obviously the camera's on them. How hidden can they possibly be, right? But like she didn't see it that way, right? But it was like my generational perspective on it. It made it feel really fake. So I could kind of see like Adele, like single mom, kind of seeing this thing online and thinking, well, okay, the prize is $1 million. Adele's got all her own stuff going on. She's like, overcoming loss and trauma, and she's kind of rebuilt herself. But she needs this money to kind of get herself straight and the kids straight. So, like, I could kind of see her looking at that sort of hide and seek thing and being like, well, how hard can it be? It's not going to be any real danger to myself. I'm not really, putting my life in danger and maybe leaving my kids. So like I could kind of see that whole piece. And so that's how all of that kind of dovetailed. So the island, the We Watch YouTube type celebrity, and then like the idea of these extreme games that get staged, and how does that all, fit together?
Yeah.
Loved it. So you have the extreme adventurer Maverick Dylan, who is the host on this island, right?
Yeah.
Was his character
Yeah.
based on any real life, real world person?
No, not really. He's kind of an amalgam of all these different, like, sort of big YouTube personalities that, my daughter was really into as she was growing up, and so he's kind of a mosaic of a lot of those different types of guys. But it really is like just kind of this personality that I'm interested in, this kind of larger than life person who's living for the camera. And I was really interested in Maverick because, he had always been in front of the camera, like even as a child. And it's like tied into his relationship to his mother. And it's tied into his like seeking of attention and approval from his dad. And he's so tied in to his projected life that I was just really curious as to whether there was anything else to him, and if part of this generation that grows up, online, right? Like so many kids now, like have never been without a device, have never been without social media, have never been without this idea that I'm not living my experience, I'm broadcasting my experience for approval. So if you are that person, then who are you? Because probably all of us remember a time before cell phones, before social media, before computers, in my case, before any of it. Like my first video game was like, what was it, like Pong or whatever, like on the, on the television.
Had that.
So like people of my generation.
Sorry. So
Exactly.
excited.
Like we remember another world in life, but some people don't. Some people don't at all. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole dynamic of what's behind the computer screen and who's real, who's not, what facets of what we see on in people is real. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like, your life is what happens in between the posts that you put out on Instagram, right? Your life is not what you're broadcasting.
Exactly. And so, a big part of the story, as you mentioned, Pong got Heather excited. It did. It brought back all these memories. Playing Atari with my brother.
It was great.
So, as you mentioned, man versus nature, this huge storm comes in, and your descriptions just really bring you into the middle of this hurricane. Or was it these storms? Was it based on your experiences in Florida with extreme weather?
Yeah, I mean, after 25 short years living in Florida, I've experienced my fair share of hurricanes and evacuations and all that. But storms always sort of often figure prominently in my stories. And again, for the same reason that it's just like, when when you're all of a sudden confronted with the actual force of nature, you cannot believe how powerful it is. Right. And that was one of our first storms down here that we evacuated from. And we were just kind of coming back up. We had we had left late. This is before we had ocean. We had left late and we had just kind of driven away from it, basically, because it's like when people evacuate, it's like all the hotels get filled up, and we were just kind of driving away from it, and we wound up coming back around up towards where we were living at the time in Clearwater. And we drove up this highway and it was completely dark. All of the lamps were down, and those gigantic signs that hang over the highway that have the city and the directions and all that, they were just like crumbled on the ground like tissue paper. I mean, these gigantic metal things. And I was just like, and I remember, we had put tape on our windows back at home. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, just the awesome force of it, the awesome force of it was so staggering. And, and you just see it all the time, right? Like we build all these things, we accumulate all this stuff. And, we just had 2 big hurricanes here this past summer. And it's just amazing how everything that you accumulate and everything that you build can just be gone like that. I mean, we see this in Los Angeles, we see it in Florida, we see it everywhere. I mean, of course, there's all different kinds of things that wake us up to the fact that, we can build whatever we want, we can accumulate whatever we want, but it's all going to get taken back at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not to get dumb.
On that note, right?
Heather, could you
that was great.
Yeah, flip your screen again for some levity.
So Kim wants to know, would you ever sign up for a game competition like this? Are you that adventurous?
I'm not at all. I'm really not. I can't imagine anything that would motivate me to do something like that. Like there's really not a dollar amount or anything, mainly just because, I'm an extreme introvert and I would really need to be, and I'm also like kind of a comfort junkie. So I would have to really be really sure of what the sleeping conditions are going to be before I could enter it.
That's the opposite.
And the bugs.
Yeah.
The bugs would get me.
No. Hold on, I had another
question. Exactly. Well, my daughter's now a budding entomologist, so I've had to make my peace with bugs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've never heard that word before until you explained that. Okay, wait.
I know.
Oh, do you know the ending of your book before you start? We all want to ask.
Oh no, never. Yeah, no.
I
knew when I first start writing. Oh no, I I write without an outline. I have this kind of nebulous vibe, what it is, what it's going to be. I have very strong character voices in my head. Like that's number one. Everything begins and ends with character for me. And, I sit down and I write, and every day I don't know who's going to show up or what they're going to do. I definitely don't know how the book is going to end. If I knew, I wouldn't be able to write it because that's the engine. I write for the same reason that I read. I want to know what's going to happen to the people who are living in my head. And so that's the whole thing. If I knew how the book was going to end, I mean, why even write it?
I totally agree.
Like I couldn't come up to do it.
Love it. Well, we love what you come up with and where your mind takes you. We are definitely the beneficiaries of that.
It's definitely working for you. So Lisa is giving away 1 copy of Close Your Eyes and Count to 10 to a lucky US viewer. Doesn't matter if you're watching us on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. We scour the comments everywhere we stream, but please make sure to shout out where you're from. For a chance to win, correctly answer this question. Which award has Lisa been nominated for not only once, but twice, an honor she shares with Agatha Christie? Bing.
Cool. Super cool.
Drop your answers in the comments.
And as you know, we killers, we're big fans of independent booksellers and want to support them in any way we can, which is why we ask every author to tell us their favorite. And Lisa chose Tombolo Books in St. Petersburg, Florida. Tell us why this spot is special to you, Lisa.
Yeah, I mean, they really feel like, and I also want to give a little bit of a shout out also to Oxford Exchange, because I have two great independent bookstores, and I never want to, like, not acknowledge both of them. Oxford Exchange is in Tampa, beautiful, wonderful store, amazingly supportive. And Tombolo Books in St. Pete, they're just about 30 minutes away from each other. Both really beautiful stores. Tombolo Books feels very much so like my home store, just supportive, loving booksellers, and also, people who are just, they're just pure book people. They're avid readers, they're hand sellers, they're they know what you like. When you walk into the store, they know what to tell you, to read. It's like really that kind of like, the store that you always want in your hometown. So it's like just a beautiful space and just wonderful people. The events coordinators and the owners, Alsace and Candace and Kelsey and Catherine, they're just amazing. So yeah, it's just a great place to buy books. And same as well as, Oxford Exchange in Tampa. They're both just, my home stores, and I love them both so much.
Well, we love that. And we'll be dropping the link to Close Your Eyes and Count to 10. So you can order it from Tombolo or those other spots, or any other of Lisa's books that are on your wish list.
And obviously the killers love to read, and the Killer Author Club is the place to share the love for fabulous books. Post pictures, write reviews, ask for recommendations, and give yours. We love it when our TBR cups runneth over, which is why we want to ask Lisa, what are you currently reading?
Yeah, I'll talk about two books. First, I'll talk about Greg Hurwitz, Nemesis, who I know Greg was on the show last week. He's like one of my forever besties, and his Orphan X series is one of my favorites. I think it's so unique because Greg is just like, he writes these really just hip, cool, slick action thrillers, right? But he's also like a beautiful writer. He's just an amazing writer. So I'm always like super excited when I get my galley, and I save it for when I'm going to have time to just read it from cover to cover. And he just gets it right every single time. So I love that. And I also just started another book called Old Soul by Susan Barker. She's a British novelist, and she wrote one of my favorite books of all times, Incarnations. And her new book just came out. So I have just started it, and I'm just going to read it very, very, very slowly because I can already tell I'm going to love it. So I'm just going to stay tuned, more on that. I'm sure I'll be posting about it in social media as I get further into it.
Awesome. Yep. That's great. Thank you. And February is Black History Month. And while the killers enjoy books by writers of color all year round, this month we're highlighting a few that have resonated with us. So I was thinking about this, and the one that I can't stop thinking about is When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. And that would be my suggestion for everybody. Yeah, great book. It's described as Rear Window meets Get Out, and this gripping thriller from a critically acclaimed and New York Times notable author, in which the gentrification of a Brooklyn neighborhood takes on a sinister new meaning. It's really great.
Tonight, speaking of books, tonight we are celebrating two fabulous new releases you want to add to your TBR. First, check out Nothing Ever Happens Here by Serafina Nova Glass. When Shelby Dawson survives a harrowing attack that should have left her dead, a group of well-meaning senior citizens accidentally make the case go viral online, but the situation quickly goes from bad to worse when someone in town is murdered and another goes missing. We also want to highlight The Last Hamilton by Jen Bregman. Historical fiction meets compelling present-day mystery in this fast-paced, twisty thriller offering a timely reminder of Alexander Hamilton's vision for America. We've got 3 copies of Nothing Ever Happens Here and 3 copies of The Last Hamilton to give away to lucky U.S. viewers. You know the drill. Drop a comment, tell us where you're from, and good luck. Don't forget to check out the killer's latest books. An ill-fated road trip resurrects a couple's deepest secrets in Jill Is Not Happy, out June 10th from Killer Kara and available for pre-order now. Let Kara know you've pre-ordered and she'll send you a signed book plate and a bookmark, and you will be entered in the giveaway. Details on her website, and I'll drop the link in just a second.
Thank you, Kimberly. And Heather's latest, Everyone is Watching, is Big Brother Meets Clue in a reality show gone horribly wrong.
And 2 American expats plunge into the glamorous but deadly world of Amsterdam's diamond industry. In Kimberly's latest, The Expat Affair, comes out June 3rd and is available for pre-order right now. Kimberly also has a giveaway going on, so head on over to her Instagram to win. And you know what? Membership has its privileges. So if you're on Facebook, check out our private members only group called the Killer Author Club, where all the killer magic is found, like giveaways. Every episode, the killers choose a name from the hat to give away a piece of swag, like t-shirts, mugs, candles, totes, hats, all of which can be found at killerauthor.com. And tonight's winner of the killer swag is Julie Wakefield. So Julie, congrats. Please send your name and address to one of the killers and we'll send you some swag. And folks, if you'd like to throw your hat into the ring to win some swag, come find us on Facebook. The link is coming up in the comments. And speaking of support, we have to give a shout out to Book Reporter for sharing our upcoming episodes in their newsletter. If you've ever seen one of their newsletters, you know they are chock full of everything in the book industry, reviews, books coming out, Q&As, so many great things. So make sure you sign up for Book Reporter at their newsletter, and we'll drop that in the comments as well.
And Lisa, you know what? We have great news for you. You have survived the Killer Author Club. It's not everyone that can do that. And then you did. You're a natural born killer, and we're so happy you're here. So thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you for having me. You guys are all so amazing and so talented and so wonderful, and I just love spending time with you.
Oh, thank you. Us too, for sure.
So that does it for tonight's episode, y'all. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, and make sure to mark your calendars for 2 weeks from tonight on February 25th at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific, when Linda Hurtado Bond will be in the Killer Author Club hot seat to tell us all about her new thriller, All the Captive Girls. In the meantime, please find us wasting entirely too much time on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all the socials for all the information you need, times, upcoming schedule, past episodes, and merch. Surf to killerauthorclub.com. Thanks for being part of the club.
That does it for tonight's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to catch our next show live, we're every other Tuesday night on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For times, upcoming schedule, and to catch up on past episodes, visit us at killerauthorclub.com. Happy reading. Now get on out there and kill that TV